G'day, another edition of Chris Rankin's Music Crush. I thought I'd make a video just to show you what I've been listening to recently. Been listening to a lot of brand new albums that most of them came out sort of yesterday or Thursday. When I say yesterday, I mean Friday. But none of those I have physical albums for at the moment, so I won't really show them, but I will be showing a lot of the physical albums I've been listening to, some favourites and revisiting some favourites, and just some really good albums to talk about and things that I love, so I'll get started. First of all, a doom metal band. Now, officially they're a London band, but one of the members is from Perth, Western Australia, where I'm from, so it's a Perth London connection, so I'm a little bit biased, so I'll definitely shout out to the Perth connection of that. And the band I'm talking about is Young Druid. That brilliant artwork there. Doom metal, sort of stoner rock, stoner metal. Album or EP, I guess it's sort of borderline. There's 6 songs on this, and of course you know you're going to get outstanding big guitar riffs on a doom metal, stoner rock metal sort of album, and you definitely do on this. This album is fantastic for that. The first 2 tracks, especially Take Me to Your Dealer, man, the big slow riff in that is just fantastic. And then you've got Sleepy Eyes as well, even slower again, but not certainly not Funeral Doom slow, that's for sure, just sort of doom metal type pace. Excellent album. Yeah, just can't rave about this enough. It probably isn't on enough radar. I don't know how many of these records were released, but yeah, it's just a fantastic record. Brilliant. Right, next. Now, this is a band that it's a German band. I do really like German thrash bands, especially the ones that tend to be a little bit heavier and a bit more aggressive as well. You know, we all know the Creator and Destruction and Sodom, of course, but there are other ones as well, Living Death, that are just absolutely brilliant thrash band. And this band is kind of border death thrash. There are certainly some of their songs that are thrash, and other songs of theirs that are death metal, but the sort of thrashier death metal. But on this record, there are certainly some tracks where they really sort of slow it down. Not ridiculously slow, but slow it down where you can really distinguish the death metal over the thrash metal, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Now, the band is Protector. I absolutely love this band. I really do. It's a bit of a quest of mine to eventually get all of their albums on record. I have quite a few so far, but the one I've been listening to a lot lately, and for some reason I kept sort of missing it out in the catalogue that I was listening to, but I've gone back to it again, and so that's Protector, and the name of the album is the Mad. Look at that artwork. Just chaos. Looks like pure chaos. And you know, it's still a thrash album by a thrash band at heart, but there are quite a few tracks that have a little bit more of that slower plodding death riffs and death rhythms, mid-tempo. Nothing Has Changed, probably my favourite song on the whole album. What else we got? The Most Repugnant Antagonistic of Life. That's such a long title, but another really good one, and some really good sort of heavy, you know, that sort of, when was this? I can't see the date on this thing. 1989. So it's right on that edge of where thrash was becoming death and things like that. So you've got that sound all the way through it. Decadence, another one. Atrocities, another one. I mean, I love the whole album, but those are my favourite songs in the album, and those are the songs that, yeah, you can hear the death metal sort of just peeking its head through and seeing if it can get any sunlight. But I love this band so very, very much. If you don't know about Protector and you've never checked them out, they are an absolutely fantastic band that really do not get enough credit and enough love. And, you know, we all talk about bands that are underrated, and I think Protector really are one of the most underrated metal bands of all time. Right, next. A band that I'm sure most of you know quite well, pretty reasonably well-known death metal band from Oakland. You know, quite famous. They've got some very iconic album covers. This is my favourite Autopsy album, which is Macabre Eternal. Look at that. Outstanding. Absolutely outstanding. And I love this. I think, I mean, they've got so many great albums, they really do. I think the songwriting's the best on this one. It starts off with my favourite Autopsy song of all time, which is Hand of Darkness. This is a nice little package as well. It's one of those book type CD packages, and you get all the pages in there, and it's not just a digipack, it's got the actual sort of binder like a book that you get some of these on. 2011 this album came out, and I'm pretty sure I got this at the time. I think you could get either the jewel case or the straight up jewel case, or the sort of booklet pack like this. And yeah, the 2011, but just an absolutely brilliant album. If you know the other albums, or you have some of their other albums in your catalogue, but you don't know about this one, check it out for sure, because it's absolutely brilliant. I've been spinning this a lot the last week and a half or so. Brilliant, brilliant album. Okay, next. Perth band. If I can, I try to highlight Perth bands, being from Perth, Western Australia. I just like to put some light on some bands from here that I think are amazing and absolutely damn brilliant, and really love it if the whole world knew about them. And this band is fantastic. They're a power metal band from Perth, Western Australia. Just so good live. I've talked about them before on a video. I showed Master Plan, the record that I showed on a previous video. As I said before, I've seen them multiple times, at least into the 20s. And of course, I'm talking about Silent Night. Brilliant, brilliant band. And this is their second album, Conquer and Command. I always want to say Command and Conquer. I don't know why, but Conquer and Command. I love this. This is my favourite of theirs. They've officially got 3 albums out, although the third one is called The Master Plan, and it was re-recorded of the first album, Master Plan. So we're expecting and hoping, Stu tells me that hopefully we'll be getting a brand new album out this year from them, so really looking forward to that. The songs I love on here, there is a lot of them. Empty Threat and The Strike of the Sword, they are my 2 favourite Silent Night songs of all time. And I do like The Raven's Return, just a brilliant song. And you've got Power Metal Supreme. Power Metal Supreme came out on its own as like a single/EP so it came out as its own little CD. But yeah, Silent Night, Conquer and Command. Fantastic album. Please check out Silent Night if you get the chance, because they just put out some of the best power metal you'll hear. Just brilliant, brilliant stuff. Cam and Stu on guitars, just magnificent. Next, Paul Gilbert. I will say forever and ever that Paul Gilbert still doesn't quite get the credit and love that he probably deserves. I think he's one of the best guitarists of all time, and I think he's one of the most underrated guitarists of all time, which is just criminal. I don't know what it is, but he just doesn't seem to quite get the love that some of the other real big-named lead guitarists, sort of, you know, virtuoso, shredder guitarists get. He doesn't seem to get enough love. Now, the album with him on that I've been listening to a lot in the last week or so is Racerx, Technical Difficulties. Brilliant, brilliant, just outstanding album. So much to love about this album, because even though Paul's guitar is fantastic, there's lots of great melody, and the songs are all extremely catchy that Racerx always do. I mean, the first 4 songs, it's just one of the best starts. You got Phallic Tractor, which I always think's way too short for a song, and it's probably one of the heaviest songs Racerx has ever done. Fire of Rock, with that amazing chorus, that wonderful, big, over-the-top sort of catchy chorus with a good hard riff through. Snakebite's a good hard rocker, and then of course you've got the title track, the instrumental, Technical Difficulties, which, yeah, is up there as one of my favourite metal instrumentals of all time. Just magnificent, absolutely gorgeous song, and it really shows off how good Paul Gilbert is. Yeah, Racerx, Technical Difficulties, love it. Do you know an interesting little funny story with this? And I guess it shows CDs. Well, it can happen on record, I guess, as well, but with CDs. Do you know, for a long time, when I got this, now, when did this come out? This came out 2000. This came out 2000. And, you know, for quite a while, I'm not saying I didn't listen to the second half of the album, but to this day, I would think that I've listened to the second half of this album a lot less than the first half, simply by the fact that each time I got to Technical Difficulties, which is track 4, I would repeat it so much. And then, of course, by then, I wouldn't get as much time to listen to the second half. I've obviously listened to the second half quite a bit. But yeah, those early days when I first got this, I would repeat Technical Difficulties so much. So yeah, brilliant album. Next, this band I've seen quite a few times. They are from the metal city, Bandung, Indonesia. And this band is, man, they slay. They really do slay. They've become quite well known these days. They've become pretty famous and rather decent celebrities in their home country. And I'm talking about the band Burger Kill. And this is their outstanding album, Venomous. This is still my favourite album of theirs. Beyond Coma Despair would be my second favourite, which is the album before this. So they're from Bandung, Indonesia. And this album, from start to finish, is just, you just can't help but headbang to it. It's just one of those. Best way to describe it is kind of hard to categorise this in a genre if you haven't heard of them before. The heavier songs would be death metal, melodic death metal, but there's certainly a fair bit of groove metal in there. Very catchy, big hooks, and the money riffs. They're one of those bands that really put some damn good money riffs in songs that there's section where you just go, oh, hell yeah, and then you just headbang because it just sounds so good and it just gets you right in that zone. Fantastic band. I love this band so very, very much. I think they're magnificent. Burger Kill and their album Venomous. Under the Scars is one of my favourite songs of all time. It's on here. For Victory, another great song off here that I love. My Worst Enemy, another song off here that I absolutely love. Only the Strong, Through the Shine, all great. But Under the Scars, yeah, it's one of my favourite metal songs of all time, and it sits on this album. It's got this big, outstanding money riff, sort of smack bang right in the middle of the song. I've been at shows with Burger Kill playing, especially in the hometown, and when that money riff goes, the pit just goes absolutely insane. Great band, great album. Burger Kill, Venomous. Right, another record. So, this band, I think some of you will know. They were mildly known in the 80s. I've only ever put out 2 albums. This is the first album from memory, or maybe I've got it the other way around. I'm sure someone will tell me. But this is the album by Baby Taku. And the album is Force Majeure. Bit of a, now, straight up you would say that they're a new wave of British heavy metal sound. But there's certainly a fair bit of the 80s sort of melodic metal, hard rock sort of a sound to it. They sort of touch on the glam sound a bit. Rob Armitage's vocals are amazing. Absolutely amazing. Sort of gets into that zone. I'm not saying he's as good for sure, but he sort of gets into that similar sound as a Ronnie James Dio kind of a sound. Almost gets into a bit of a Coverdale sound, but not quite. But very, very melodic, very good vocalist. A great band. Yeah, as I say, only 2 albums. This one came out on the Music for Nations label. There's the cover there. Now, they had a reasonably mild single and hit called Over You. A lot of big of those sort of 80s synths with just a fantastic chorus. A chorus that will be with you forever, but not in a bad way. A chorus that you just want to sing along to and just stays with you for so long. Shoot on Sight's probably the heaviest song on the whole record, and a really good one. Probably the most metal, like full metal song on here. You've also got I'm Your Man, which is quite a good rocking song. The funny thing about this record I've noticed is that side 1 I definitely like more, and it has more, it's a bit more rockin', a bit more metal to it. Side 2 tends to be a little bit more ballady, a bit more power ballad type song. Still very, very good though. But yeah, Baby Taku. Now I first found out about this band was on a compilation that was on a cassette. I know it came out on record as well because I've seen it recently on record and I've been thinking about buying it. By Mad Tracks 2, Beyond Metal Zone is the compilation. And there was Metallica songs on there. I think there was an Anthrax song. I think Megadeth songs were on there. And Baby Taku was on there with their Over You song on there. And that's where I first heard them in the 80s. Was I think it was a friend or someone had that compilation and they played the cassette at their house after school or something like that. And that's where I first heard Baby Taku. And then I bought this record when it came out, which was, we got 1986. And I was pretty happy, and it's been in my collection ever since. fantastic, fantastic. Right, and the last one. Now, I was almost going to do a whole video on this album because I did a bit of a list of my favourite albums, my top 100 favourite albums of 2010 to 2020. This album finished first on my albums of 2019, and it finished very, very high on my albums of 2010 to 2020. Now, the band is called Whiteward, and the album is called Love Exchange Failure. There's the album cover there. Now, by looking at the album cover, you might be surprised to know that this is, in essence, a black metal album and a black metal band. But before I turn anyone off that doesn't like black metal, let me just tell you why this album is so amazing. Now, I've talked about Imperial Triumphant before, a black metal band that mixes a lot of jazz fusion and avant-garde in with their music. Now, what Whiteward does is they do similar, but they take it even further. Now, this album is kind of a concept album in a lot of ways. The best way I can describe this album is, think of a late 1940s, early 1950s detective story, like an underbelly story, and the detective sitting in a smoky bar somewhere at 1 a.m. in the morning, and he's telling you all the stories of the underbelly of the city and the seedy stories, and there's smoke in the room and there's jazz playing and all sorts. So picture that with black metal as its underscore. So there are parts of this album that have jazz fusion, that has all the brass that you'd expect in jazz, has the very smoky sort of sultry jazz parts to it. But make no mistake, there are certainly black metal all throughout. Certainly melodic black metal and quite discernible, but the way it's intertwined and it takes you on a journey is just mind-blowing. I think it's one of the most original and maybe unique albums that I've heard in a very, very long time. I still to this day cannot get enough of this. I bought this on Bandcamp halfway through listening to it. I just loved it so much. And it takes you away. It puts you in that mood. You feel like you're in the story. It really is like a fly-on-the-wall album, mixing jazz, black metal in that scene and in that sound. And I've seen a few people say, well, how can this be a black metal album? Look at the cover. That doesn't look black metal at all. It's not cold and forests and so forth. But then when you think about it, if you think about a city and its underbelly and how it can be at night, it can be a cold, stark, scary, icy sort of unemotional, unfeeling, dark place. The underbelly of a city can be every much a cold and foreboding place, like an icy, dark forest. And I think this is just so clever on every single level. So it's Whiteward, Love Exchange Failure. It's pretty much a concept album. And if you've never heard this and you like something that pushes you and challenges you, then I can't recommend this highly enough. As I say, I was almost going to make a whole video just about this album because I think it's that damn good. But I thought I'd put it into this part. So there we go. As I say, it was my #1 album of 2019. Outstanding. So there we go. There's some things physical albums that I've been listening to. I'd love to see what you've been listening to in the comments. So write down in the comments there and I'll get through and have a read, see what you've been listening to recently, what's been in your rotation, or any new albums that you've been listening to recently. The Dragony album I've been listening to, Grave Huffer, I've been listening to the new Stas album, which is Roger Johansson from Rib Spreader. Fantastic, old school sounding death metal album. Fractal Generator I've been listening a lot to. Frozen Soul I've been listening a lot to. So there's lots of fantastic new albums out as the year started, but I won't talk about them too much. I haven't got any physicals of those to show. You've got to order them and send them and things like that, and I'm not sure which ones I'm going to quite order and get sent. So hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you see some things that you may not have seen before, or if you have and love, they jog your memory and you decide to play them. And I hope you enjoyed the video. I really appreciate you watching. Catch you soon.